first time I saw Daniel, he was laughing like a man who had never been broken. That should have been my warning. He stood near the coffee machine in our office, sleeves rolled up, tie loose, eyes warm in a way that made you feel chosen, not noticed. Chosen. There's a difference, and I was foolish enough to believe I had been. New here? He asked, handing me a cup before I could even reach for one. I nodded. First day. Well, he smiled. You picked the worst coffee in the building. I laughed. Just like that, it started. His name was Daniel Carter, senior manager, married. That last part didn't come from him. It came from whispers, from the way women in the office lowered their voices when they spoke about him, from the subtle glances, from the ring he sometimes wore and sometimes didn't, and from her, Clara. I met her 2 weeks later. She came into the office around noon, calm, composed, elegant in a quiet way, not flashy, not desperate for attention. She carried herself like someone who didn't need to prove anything. Hi, she said politely. I'm here for Daniel. There was no suspicion in her eyes, no insecurity, just certainty. That annoyed me more than anything. You must be his wife, I said, forcing a smile. She nodded. And you are? Emma. I work with him. She studied me for half a second, just half, and then she smiled. It's nice to meet you, Emma. That was it. No tension, no territorial energy, no warning, and somehow that made me want him more. I told myself 1,000 lies after that their marriage was probably already broken, that men like Daniel don't stay faithful anyway, that if he was drawn to me, it meant something real, and slowly I stopped noticing the line I was crossing because I had already crossed it. It didn't happen all at once. It never does. It started with longer conversations, lunch breaks that stretched just a bit too far, late-night messages about work that slowly turned into personal confessions. I feel stuck sometimes, he told me one evening. With her, I asked. A pause. Yeah, that one word felt like permission, and I took it. The first time we touched, it wasn't dramatic. No rain, no music, no movie moment, just a quiet office. Everyone gone, our hands brushed, and neither of us pulled away. Emma, he whispered. That should have been the moment I stepped back, but I didn't. I know, I said softly. I didn't know anything, but I wanted to believe I did. Weeks turned into months. He stopped wearing his ring. He started calling me home in little ways. I wish I was with you right now. I feel like myself when I'm with you. I should have met you earlier. Those words, they build illusions, and I built mine perfectly in my version of the story. I wasn't the other. Woman, I was the right one who came at the wrong time. Are you going to leave her? I finally asked one night. We were in his apartment, not the one he shared with Clara, the other one. That should have told me everything. He hesitated. I just need time. Time. That dangerous word that keeps you waiting while someone else decides. Your worth. I can't do this forever, I said. You won't have to. He pulled me closer. I promise. And I believed him because I wanted to win. The divorce happened faster than I expected. No drama, no public fights, no office gossip, explosion, just quiet. She didn't fight it, Daniel told me, almost confused. What do you mean? She just agreed. That should have been the moment I questioned everything. But instead, I smiled. Because in my mind, that meant I had already won 3. Months later, I moved in with him. Everything felt perfect, too perfect. Dinner dates, weekend trips, soft mornings. He was attentive, loving, present, and I felt chosen until the cracks started to show. Small things at first. He hated questions. Where were you? I asked once when he came home late. Work. You didn't answer your phone. I was busy, Emma. The tone changed, sharp, defensive, unfamiliar. Then came the silence, the kind that sits between two people and grows heavier every day. He stopped telling me things, stopped laughing the same way, stopped looking at me like I was special. And one night, I saw something that made my stomach drop. His phone lit up. A message from a name I didn't recognize. Miss you tonight. My chest tightened. I stared at the screen, and for the first time, I felt it. That cold, sinking realization. The same on Clara must have felt once. When he came out of the shower, I held up the phone. Who is she? He didn't even look surprised. That was the worst part. Emma, he sighed. Don't start. Don't start. My voice shook. You're cheating on me. He laughed, actually laughed. You knew who I was when you met me. That sentence hit harder than anything else, because it was true. But you said you loved me. I do, he said casually, grabbing his shirt. In my way. In your way, I whispered. He shrugged. You're overreacting. Overreacting, the same word he probably used on Clara. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, staring at the man I thought I had won. And for the first time, I wondered why Clara had let him go so easily. The next morning, I made a decision. Needed answers. Not from him. From her. And as I stood outside Clara's house later that day, my heart pounding, I had no idea that knocking on that door would change everything I thought I knew. Because Clara didn't look surprised to see me. She looked like she had been expecting this moment all along. And then she said something that made my blood run cold. I was wondering how long it would take you to come. Clara stepped aside before I could say another word. Come in, she said calmly, as if I were an old friend dropping by, not the woman who helped destroy her marriage. That unsettled me more than anger ever could. I walked in slowly, my chest tight, my mind racing. The house was peaceful, not empty, not broken, just quiet in a way that felt intentional. You live alone? I asked without thinking. Clara closed the door behind me. Yes. No bitterness, no hesitation. Just yes. I turned to face her. You knew I'd come. She gave a small smile. Women always come eventually. Something about that sentence made my skin crawl. Why? I asked. She walked toward the kitchen, motioning for me to follow. Tea. I didn't come first. Tea, I know, she said, placing 2 cups on the counter anyway. You came for answers. I stayed standing, then give them to me. She looked at me carefully, not judging, not mocking, just understanding, and somehow that felt worse. You think you stole him, Clara said quietly. I flinched. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Silence filled the room. I loved him, I said, my voice sharper than I intended. He told me he was unhappy with you. Clara let out a soft breath, not a laugh, not a sigh. Something in between. He always says that. That hit me harder than I expected. What does that mean? It means, she said, finally sitting down, you're not the first woman he said that to. My heart skipped. And you stayed? I asked, disbelief creeping in. For a while. Why? Clara looked down at her hands for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was steady, but there was history in it. Because the first time it happens, you don't want to believe it. The second time, you blame yourself. And the third time, she looked up at me. You realize it was never about you. I felt something shift inside me. Uncomfortable. Heavy. He told me you didn't fight for him. I said, I didn't. Why not? My voice cracked. If you loved him, why would you just let him go? Clara held my gaze, because I finally understood what I was holding on to. And what was that? She leaned back slightly, her expression calm, but her words cut deep. A man who doesn't stay. The room felt colder. You think he loves you? She asked gently. I opened my mouth, but no words came out, because for the first time I wasn't sure. Clara continued, he doesn't love people. He loves attention. He loves the chase. He loves being needed. That's not true, I said quickly, almost defensively. He was different with me. Clara nodded slowly. He was different with all of us. That word, us, it echoed in my head. How many? I whispered. She didn't answer directly. Enough for me to stop counting. My stomach twisted. He made me feel special, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I know. Clara replied softly. That's his gift. Then why did you stay so long? Clara's eyes darkened slightly, not with anger, but with memory. Because he doesn't show you who he is all at once. She paused. He gives you just enough love to make you stay, and just enough pain to make you try harder. I felt my chest tighten because every word felt familiar. He's cheating on me, I admitted finally. Clara didn't react. No shock, no surprise, just acceptance. I figured, she said. You figured, I snapped. That's all you have to say. She looked at me, calm as ever. What do you want me to say, Emma? That I'm sorry, that he betrayed you. Her voice softened slightly. He didn't betray you. That made me angry. He lied. To me, no, Clara said quietly. He showed you exactly who he was. I shook my head. No, he didn't. Yes, he did, she interrupted, still calm. You just chose to believe the version of him that benefited you. That silence that followed was suffocating. I looked around her house again. Everything suddenly made sense. The peace, the stillness, the absence of chaos. You're happier now, I said slowly. Clara smiled, not proudly, not arrogantly. Just truthfully, yes, that one. Word shattered something inside me. I thought I won, I admitted. Clara tilted her head slightly. Did you? My throat went dry. Because now, I wasn't so sure. He'll do it again, she said. I know, I whispered. And again, I closed my eyes. And again. Then why does it still hurt? I asked, my voice breaking for the first time. Clara stood up and walked closer to me. Because you didn't just lose him, she said softly. You lost the story you believed about him. Tears filled my eyes. Because she was right. I hadn't just loved Daniel. I had loved the idea of being chosen, of being the one who changed him, the one who was different. But here's the part you need to understand, Clara continued. I looked at her. Her expression had changed slightly now. More serious, more warning. You didn't take something valuable from me. My heart sank. You took my problem. The words landed like a punch. I didn't let him go because I didn't care, she said. I let him go because I finally cared about myself more. I couldn't speak, couldn't think. Everything I believed was collapsing. As I turned to leave, feeling smaller than I ever had before, Clara called out one last thing, Emma. I stopped. If you stay with him, I slowly looked back. Her eyes locked onto mine. You won't be the last woman standing. A chill ran through my entire body. Then who will? I asked. Clara gave a faint, almost sad smile. No one. I walked out of that house with shaking hands and a heart that finally understood the truth. But understanding something doesn't make it easier to walk away. And as I reached my car, my phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. Where are you? We need to talk. I stared at the screen for a long time because deep down I already knew what he was going to say, but I had no idea that this conversation would be the moment everything finally broke.